even when they are positive. Yes, negative ones are very easy to identify with. Like in the video that we just watched, it was a typical case of illness. Okay, so we've talked about job loss, death, financial downturns, business collapse and all that. What of positives that can bring challenges in our marriages? Promotion, is it possible?
Arrival of a baby.
Arrival of a baby, yes, can bring on his stresses. You have been praying for a baby and the baby has come. And that can be a high point of problems and disagreements in a marriage. Yes, another one.
Jackpot to a good place and it becomes a challenge.
You've been desiring to relocate. It's been a dream right from the beginning of the marriage, and then you move. And then all the challenges of the relocation come suddenly on a marriage. Yes. Job promotions. On what?
Unmanaged success.
Unmanaged success. Okay? A business blows up and then it becomes a big issue. Communication breaks down. New attitudes come out. Things that have been subtle in the marriage, negative things magnify themselves in the union. Yes. Okay. So we've identified that they can be positive, they can be negative. And in this discussion, we should be asking what responses should we give to these challenges. And I want us, first of all, to identify what responses to challenges can rock our marriage boat. You can pick up one challenge and speak on it. What challenges in our marriages can rock the marriage boat? Okay, somebody said midlife crisis. I agree with you totally. It can become a challenge. Meanwhile, it's a natural process. If we are not responding by raising hand and we're responding at the chat room, then I'll just go on and let us talk on the things that I have on my slide. So there are responses that we give to these challenges that can keep the spark, and there are responses that can break down the marriage. So first of all, I need us to understand I hope my slide good. I need us to understand that what we are looking at is without losing our spark. Spark does not necessarily mean constant emotion, but it involves commitment, intentional connection, grace, and spiritual unity in changing seasons. Now, we've identified rightly most of the things that can cause challenges. Seasons change, but the marriage covenant keeps inviting us to keep choosing one another in every season. To keep choosing one another in every season. If that season is over and another season comes, it's still the same person that we are married to. Sometimes I ask myself, where did we pick the doctrine that believers don't go through challenges? Especially when you have a challenge and it's like, oh, is God there? Who said God is not there? Christians face challenges. The other day, one of our pastors was preaching on some of the challenges. And while preaching, he gave examples of two challenges they faced in their marriage. One was looking for the fruit of the womb, and the things that followed, how it touched the marriage. The other one was the death of a spouse. So my question was, do we face challenges as believers? Yes. We're not going to read through these scriptures, but I highlighted them and underlined some things. Still back to that Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. It says, two are better than one. If either of them falls down, that means there can be a falling down. Whatever that falling down represents, it can happen in our marriages. And if you read from John 16:33, it says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. So our peace rests on Christ, because in this world, there will be trouble, there will be tribulation, there will be challenges. And those things come whether we are believers or we are not believers. So, and then James 1:2-4 says, consider pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. So it didn't say it might be a few. It didn't say whenever you don't face trials. Trials of many kinds may come. So yes, a believer can face challenges. So how do you respond to difficult times in your marriage and then come out unscattered? I'll just give us about 4 points. I brought out the marriage triangle there just for us to be looking at it and understand and rewind and remember, because I think we've talked about this a few times in the past. You know, looking at that triangle, the husband is on one side, the wife is on one side, God is there. And in a marriage that will work and that works, we should be looking unto God. And now, when challenges come, when difficult seasons come, and the husband turns towards God and is moving towards God, and the wife turns towards God and is moving towards God, you're going to find out that two of them move closer together. Like if you're climbing that triangle, you see the distance between the man and the wife becomes shorter as they approach God. So difficult seasons should not isolate us as couples. It should not isolate us from God. Sometimes when we are facing challenges, some of the things that come is like an accusation to God. You know, that, you know, this is what you have done or what you have not done and all that. And so we turn away from him. And as we turn away from him, we are indirectly also giving a greater gap between us and our spouses. And then, you know, challenges and marriages can begin to crack at that point. So face God, move towards God, and whatever that interpretation is to you, do it. It can be praying together regularly, worshiping together, even in the midst of that circumstance. I know we can pray alone, I know we can worship alone, but worshiping together and calling those challenges before God kind of draws us together as two parties in this boat facing this together. Study the scriptures related to that situation and invite God into decisions. The other thing is stay in fellowship. Sometimes when we go through stuff, one of the reactions that the devil gives us to take is, you know, to avoid the fellowship of the brethren. And so for me, it is like isolating to kill. I remember one message Pastor Don was giving sometime, was talking about how the lion, you know, gets its prey. And you know, when a herd is moving, they wait for the weakest ones, and then when they are isolated from the herd, then the attack comes. Don't get yourself isolated from the brotherhood of the brethren. So be driven towards spiritual intimacy more than anything. Keep communication lines active, even in challenges. Speak to your spouse about it. Let me assume it's a positive thing. You know, there's been a promotion or something big that is happening, and you're noticing that you're drawing apart from each other. Speak about it. Don't become bitter or hide it in your heart. Speak about it. And when your spouse is speaking, listen. Let's be clear with expressions of what is happening and talk about it, and then resolve issues promptly. Most of the time, the issues will come, but it is resolution and prompt resolution that, you know, cuts it in the bud. If we allow it, it starts developing heads and tails, and that is when everything crashes. So keep communication lines active, even in crisis. Avoid contempt on your partner or public criticism. Here I can refer to where somebody has a job loss. Let me say it's the man. And then, you know, in public, you make careless statements about how he lost the job or how he's not looking for new jobs and all that. Those are things that cause negative responses to difficult times that can be traumatic on a relationship. Number 3, I said protect your connection more than your comfort. I refer us back to that video where, the man was carrying the woman in the midst of the crisis. Let me use that illness as an example, where a woman is admitted or a man is admitted in a hospital and is ill. And you still need to navigate to work and all. It's possible and easy to say, because I have to work and I have to get money to pay the hospital bill, I don't check in. I can call her on the phone. That is like choosing comfort over connection. Even in crisis, let's check in daily on one another. I keep referring to illness as if just because the video was what was played, but that can play out in any scenario. The business is not doing well. Check in on one another. Darling, what is happening today? Maybe you're not really an integral part of that business and he's gone, he's back. Ask questions. Check in with him. Be intentional about talking about it and encouraging one another in crisis. Things like sharing meals and still doing your dedicated couple times keeps the spark on despite the fact that there is crisis. Sometimes it's when there's crisis you hear, I beg, I don't want to watch movie today. No, sometimes watching movie together at that time, maybe it's a habit, it's one of the daily habits, weekly or monthly habits that two of you had before. Don't drop it because there is crisis. Instead, just be intentional. And the idea is to protect your connection with one another during crisis. Number 4, I talked about continue choosing love as an action. I think it came up various times in this discussion, serving one another. Sometimes it is unmet expectations that destroys marriages, that pulls marriages down. Are you coming into this union to be served, or are you coming to serve? Serve one another. Let your spouse become a priority. He's not going to become a priority because he has made me priority. No, I place him as priority. And so, if we do that, we'll just see that we are choosing one another each time. Serve one another, celebrate small wins, express appreciation. Yes, the business might not doing well, and then you're seeing that there's sustenance of the home that is continuing. Expression. Don't keep it in the heart. Don't say, okay, we just manage this thing. Express appreciation that despite all you've said that is happening, thank you that we can, feed in the home. Continue to date one another. Don't stop. Difficult seasons put us under pressure. I don't know who will be in a situation and may not have the simplest manifestation might be sadness, a kind of pulling back, a kind of depression and all that. So difficult season may bring out not the best in our spouses. Let's give each other benefit of doubt and assume positive intent. Don't think that there's something wild that has gone on. It's related to this situation. And if you listen and ask questions, you will get feedbacks. Forgive quickly. Extend grace to one another. Extending grace, sometimes a spouse can ask a question and you give a reply in quotes. But it's almost like a sharp rebuke, but it's a reply. Let's answer each other with grace. The human mind has a way of interpreting stuff. If somebody, just lost a job and you're not careful about how you respond to the person can misinterpret it as, oh, you have become nasty just because the money is not flowing. So let's have grace in our conversations with one another, always. And finally, I said that preserve hope and shared vision, even in crisis. Sometimes things happen to us or happen in our families. Let our response not be, when I was coming into this marriage, or this was not what I expected. It's all over. So this is what it is. So this is what it is. We have to always look for money to eat in this house. Preserve hope. You came together as two. Revisit your coming together. Revisit the family goals. Speak life over your marriage. It might not be where you want it to be, but there is a progress that's being made. Celebrate that progress. You see, this preserve hope and shared vision is so important because sometimes we actually lose hope. And so we cancel that. Let me use Japa. Somebody said Japa while we were talking. And so you find out that it's not working, but that is the plan that you people had. That doesn't mean it won't happen or it may not happen in the future. Face the realities of the present and, pray together concerning the present. Speak over what you have as the present, but don't lose the hope and the shared vision you've always had. Marriage does not keep its spark. We talked about the spark. It doesn't keep the beauty, the butterflies, the joy and the goodness that we experience with one another. It doesn't keep it by avoiding difficult seasons. Because those difficult seasons will come, but it keeps a spark by remaining connected to God. Remember that our first slide of turning to Him and moving towards Him. Remaining connected to one another, even in crisis. Not to look upon one another as the cause of the crisis that is in the home, and so responding in that way. Preserving the dreams and the hopes we have and still working towards them, even in crisis. And I'll end on some of the words that we got in this video. I call those people more than conquerors couple. So the words that played out in that video, if you listen, those were the words that were re-echoing for me. The storm will pass. So even as we start winding down the meeting and beyond the meeting, those crisis points, can you face one another, face your spouse and talk about it, and tell one another, this storm, even this one, will pass. I also heard in that video, keep going. Don't stop. Failure is not the one that crashed to the ground. It's the one that crashed to the ground and said, give me a pillow, let me lie down. So there's no failure in falling to the ground. You get up and keep going. The other, was, I didn't marry your challenges. Yes, I married you. I didn't marry your beauty. And so if you marry figure 8 and the thing is out of shape, begin to, talk your mind around again. You didn't marry figure 8, you married me. I didn't marry health, actually. In this illness, it is you that I married. We fight together. I heard that in that movie too. Your challenge is not your final stop. I don't know whether I heard it. I heard it. So yes, the challenges are there, but they are not final stops. They should be stepping stones to greater heights. The world gave me no chance. For her, she said the doctors gave me 6 months. God gave me a lifetime. Yes, the world gave me no chance. In the challenge I'm going through, the mouths are talking and they have given me no chance. But God gave me a lifetime victory. Your victory is on the way. It's what that video is speaking to you. No one writes your final chapter. No one has the right to write your final chapter. People may be composing your final chapter, but God has the right over the final chapter. And so I encourage us, let challenging times bring you closer to one another and closer to God. Don't lose the spark in your marriage. Thank you.